Hello, folks, and Happy New Year to you all. I am, of course, your host, Rob Gold of Golden Nugget. This is, of course, the video episode of the Golden Nugget podcast, which is a shortened down version of the podcast that goes out every Thursday on Spotify and Amazon. And this is just basically the video that goes out for that. So, without further ado, again, Happy New Year to everyone who watches and listens to the podcast and watches this video. As I say, this is only the second episode that's been done this way. So, without further ado, I will discuss what happens as well. So, we have Premier League predictions and results roundup. We will have also a bit of a review slash preview of the latest episode of SmackDown, along with the review from this Monday's Day 1 edition of Raw, along with the preview episode of SmackDown, which happens this Friday night as well. And as many people know within the UK and people who have been watching WWE NXT and that in the UK and that, so it no longer is going to be on TNT Sports anymore. It has now been officially moved over to WWE Network, which, as far as I can remember, it is $9.99 a month unless they have changed the prices. So, without further ado, we will get into the Premier League fixtures going back just before Boxing Day, and that's because we did do the last ones before that. So, without further ado, these are the fixtures that we will be discussing. So, obviously, you've got once before the Boxing Day, so you have Aston Villa versus Sheffield United starting with. So it finished a draw. Then we move on to West Ham versus Manchester United. I predicted a home win. West Ham won the game 2-0. Then Fulham against Burnley. I predicted a Fulham win. Burnley won the game. Luton versus Newcastle. I predicted a home win for this one. Because I thought to myself, is it going to be a home win or a draw? I said to myself, because Newcastle's form hasn't been great. Luton have been playing very well at home, and they did get the 3 points. Then Manchester City against Brentford. It was postponed because of Manchester City's participation in the World Club Championship, which they went on to win. Then we also had Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth, and at which, as I say, Bournemouth picked up the 3 points. Spurs versus Everton. Again, Spurs got the win in the end. Liverpool versus Arsenal finished a draw. There were some talking points in that game, which, as I say, are on the podcast episode as well. I will not go into too much of that because it would take up too much time talking about that again. Wolves versus Chelsea finished a home win. Then we go on to the Boxing Day set of fixtures. Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest, which was an away win for Nottingham Forest, surprisingly. Bournemouth versus Fulham, home win. Sheffield United versus Luton, an away win for Luton. Burnley versus Liverpool, an away win for Liverpool. Manchester United versus Aston Villa, a home win. Then we move on to the 27th of December, which was Brentford versus Wolves, which finished with an away win for Wolves. Then we go on to Chelsea versus Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge, which Chelsea won the game. Then Everton versus Manchester City, another controversial moment in the game. But Manchester City went out 3-1 winners after Everton taking the lead. Then we move on to Brighton versus Spurs on the 28th of December, which finished 4-2 Brighton against Spurs. Brighton picked up the 3 points. Arsenal versus West Ham. Again, Arsenal slipping up to another defeat. And that was at Emirates. West Ham won the game 2-0. Then we move on to the 30th of December, which was had Luton versus Chelsea, with Chelsea picking up the win. Aston Villa versus Burnley, another home win for Aston Villa. Crystal Palace versus Brentford, with Crystal Palace picking up the win in that game. Then we have Manchester City picking up a comfortable win against Sheffield United at home. Then Wolves versus Everton, which again Wolves beat Everton at home. Then we had Forest versus Manchester United at home, which was another home win. And we had Fulham beat Arsenal at home. Spurs beat Bournemouth at home, and they were on New Year's Eve. Then we have the only fixture that was on New Year's Day, which was Liverpool versus Newcastle. As Liverpool won, they went back top of the table. Or sorry, they went clear by 3 points in the top of the table because of obviously Aston Villa. They went top for that period, and obviously all Liverpool needed to do was get their win, and then they would go on top, which they did. And Liverpool went on top with a 4-2 win over Newcastle, thanks to two goals from Mohamed Salah, one from Curtis Jones and one from Cody Gakpo, with Alexander Isak scoring for Newcastle and the Newcastle defender scoring the goal for Newcastle. So that does conclude the Premier League predictions and results over the course of the last couple of weeks. Then we have highlighted fixtures that are happening this weekend for the FA Cup third round. So highlighted ones I have picked: Sunderland versus Newcastle, obviously a Timeware derby; Millwall versus Leicester City, which is on Saturday; Spurs versus Burnley on Friday, which is an all Premier League fixture; Brentford versus Wolves, another all Premier League fixture on Friday; then Crystal Palace against Everton, another all Premier League tie, which is on Thursday. Then the big tie of the third round, which drew Arsenal versus Liverpool at the Emirates, which is on Sunday. Then Stoke versus Brighton, Championship versus Premier League. Then we'll have Wigan versus Manchester United, as well as some of the highlighted fixtures. Then we also have this week, we also have the Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg fixtures between Middlesbrough and Chelsea, and Liverpool Fulham. Middlesbrough and Chelsea are on the 9th, which is Tuesday, and Liverpool versus Fulham is on the Wednesday, and those are the first leg matches of the semi-final. So as I say, we will go into a brief discussion about SmackDown and Raw, and that obviously SmackDown. So the SmackDown, as I say, before Christmas, you had basically a match announced for this week, and basically it will see triple threat. Whoever wins faces Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. It's a triple threat match between the returning Randy Orton, who returned obviously at Survivor Series War Games, against the phenomenal one AJ Styles, and the megastar that is LA Knight. Yeah. The winner of that faces Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. Then we will crown a new #1 contender this Friday as well for the United States Championship. So in the final, we will have Kevin Owens versus Santos Escobar. The winner of that faces the Maverick, Logan Paul, at the Royal Rumble. That concludes SmackDown from that week. Also, so that's a preview. We've got the Raw review as well. So there is going to be some speculation coming out of this as to what this means, but I think a lot of people know what it means now. So without further ado, Raw review. So we're all kicked off with Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax, 5 years in the making. This all started from Nia Jax had basically broken Becky Lynch's nose when Nia Jax was part of Team Raw and Becky Lynch was Team SmackDown. And obviously over the course of those couple of years, obviously Nia Jax had been fired from WWE, and then obviously she'd been brought back. Becky Lynch has obviously had injuries and things like that, and obviously had a baby on top of that as well. So that is why it's taken so long, because of those comings together as such. Then match got underway, bit of back and forth. You could tell Jax was obviously showing some of her muscle about by being the way she is. and that sort of a stronger competitor against Becky Lynch. But Becky Lynch wasn't afraid to back down. She knew what type of fight she was going to be into, and you know, there were a couple of points where you know you thought she was going that Becky Lynch was going to do it, and one mistake from Becky Lynch cost her the match where she went to the top rope and Nia Jax caught her with a right hand right under the chin. Looked as if it knocked her out stone cold. Nia Jax went to the second rope and hit the Annihilator for the 1, 2, 3 count. And some people say, like, you know, was that the wrong call to make to have Nia Jax beat Becky Lynch? Some might say, no. I see it as being a good call. The WWE made Nia Jax win that match because, like, Becky Lynch, in a way, didn't really need to win the match, but for her career and for the type of match, because of the circumstances of what happened, I think it was down to Nia Jax to prove that this is her yard, this is where she stays, this is where she belongs. And yes, Becky Lynch was bleeding at the end of the night, but that was due to something else beforehand. But Nia Jax with the win. Then after that match, we went to an interval, came back. Cody Rhodes comes out to a promo and wants to basically face Shinsuke Nakamura that night on Raw. Shinsuke Nakamura video at the top doesn't want anything to do with Cody Rhodes tonight. Went into the story about how that his story with Cody Rhodes is going to finish next week, and that how he's going to close the chapter on Cody Rhodes, and that would be next week on Raw in Portland, Oregon. And on that episode also, for next week on Raw, CM Punk makes his return to Raw in the Royal Rumble season as such. What will CM Punk have to say? Obviously, he had his first match back in WWE with Dominic Mysterio on the road throughout the WWE tour that they've done over Christmas period, and that. So it'll be interesting to see what CM Punk, the best in the world, has to say about that. Then we move on to tag team match between Kofi Kingston and Jey Uso against Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. This match did start, I say, quite well. Both teams going at it a bit of each other, but unfortunately the match got stopped roughly about 5 minutes or so into the actual match itself, where Kofi Kingston went to drop kick Giovanni Vinci, and whatever way he caught him, the landing of Giovanni Vinci seemed to land on the back of his head, and that where it looked as if he could have been concussed. We're not sure, but as I say, if there's an update, we will keep people updated on Giovanni Vinci's injury. And the match was awarded to Kofi Kingston and Jey Uso because of a referee stoppage. Then we had The Miz with Miz TV calling out the Judgment Day because Judgment Day wanted to be on Miz TV. Then the Judgment Day went to come out. Well, sort of Judgment Day, because their music hit, but they weren't to be seen. But then seconds later, R-Truth's music hit, and R-Truth with a Judgment Day t-shirt on, comes to the ring, talks to the Miz, says about like how that he beat J.D. McDonough in the match 2 weeks ago to basically be in Judgment Day, but then the people that were there, had watched it, basically said it's a joke, blah blah blah. Miz was talking the truth about what does he do for the Judgment Day type of thing that he runs. He errands for them. He does this. He does that. He does PR. He's doing PR work this week. He's doing such and such the following week. Then out of nowhere, J.D. McDonough and Dirty Dom come out and basically say, "Truth, you're not in the Judgment Day. You're never going to be in the Judgment Day." and you don't run around, you don't do this for us, you don't do that for us, you're not doing PR work for us, you don't do any of that. But here you are saying that you're in the judgment day when you're not in the judgment day. And it's like, but I beat you, and you're not in the judgment day anymore. He's like, you weren't in the judgment day. But we know that JD isn't in the judgment day. But this led to a tag team match. But The Miz had just announced before that it was going to be a reunion for the one night of the Awesome Truth, which we got, which was The Miz and R-Truth against JD McDonough and Dirty Dom Mysterio. And as I say, it was The Miz and R-Truth that picked up the win in a quite an entertaining match. Then we moved on to some serious business for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, which was between Rhea Ripley defending her championship against Ivy Nile, and what was a really good match. I really enjoyed this match to watch. Ivy Nile, one to watch out for sure. Strong, she's quick, she's what you would want in someone of that quality. Yes, she's small in height, but for that, you wouldn't even know, you wouldn't even care. Do you know what I mean? Because the way she does herself, and not the way she puts herself about and things like that. She might be small. She's always known as the underdog, and that in a fight, but her quickness, her speed, her agility, her stamina, her strength, they're all qualities of what a champion would be and what should be. And I can one day honestly see Ivy Nile being a women's world champion, whether it be the Raw one or whether she needs to go to SmackDown to win it. I can see her definitely being a world champion one day, that is for sure. But it was Rhea Ripley, the Eradicator, who picked up the win by hitting a knee on Ivy Nile and picking her up for the Riptide and for the 1, 2, 3 to retain the Raw World Women's Championship. Then we move on to what had been rumoured all over the weekend, that Triple H had basically said that the rumours were true, that we were bringing back the former WWE champion. So after the commercial, Raw returned, and the superstar coming down to the ring, everyone with their phones, cameras pointing out at the screen for the most anticipated return of 2024, and out comes the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. Comes out, cuts a promo in the ring, says that basically that the fans are booing him, that they think it was going to be somebody else, blah blah blah. Basically was trying to say, like, how America was bad, and that they don't like him because of how he is and the way he speaks, the way he dresses, the way he talks and things like that. And said about about these people, blah blah blah, and then he tried to give his own rendition of with a bit of a theme from the American National Anthem. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out comes the People's Champion, The Rock. Comes straight through the curtain and comes down to the ring, obviously standing ovation, comes down to the ring, has a bit of a promo battle with the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, and basically the two of them got towards the end where Jinder Mahal had beaten the Rock down a wee bit in the corner. Rock battles back and hits him with a spine and the Pine Buster. Then People's Elbow, puts him out of the ring, throws his belt at him, says to the crowd, just before he says Happy New Year to the crowd, he basically said that, so I'm going out tonight, but should I go to, for something to eat, should I go to a booth? Should I go to a bar? I like bars. Or should I be at the head of the table? And we know what that means. That Roman Reigns has been challenged by The Rock. So what will happen now? With that basically being said, will Roman Reigns answer that challenge as such come SmackDown? Will he wait to give his answer at the Royal Rumble? Or will he just wait until WrestleMania to say, right, okay, I'll challenge you? Who knows? But will we find out in SmackDown? I guess you'll have to wait until Friday night to find that out. Then we move on to women's tag team match between Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark against Tegan Nox and Natalya, and with say Chelsea Green and Piper Niven looking on. Obviously they're not the tag team champions anymore. Obviously you've got Katana and Gaiden. They are basically the women's tag team champions after picking up a win against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven 2 weeks ago. And could one of these teams be the next challengers? But we will soon find out, because we know next week on Raw that the new women's tag team champions will be defending against the former tag team champions in Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, which will be basically a rematch from 2 weeks ago. But this match is a feature Shayna Baszler, Tegan Nox, and Natalya. Tegan Nox and Natalya against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, in which Zoe Stark picked up the victory for her team, and with an impressive win against Tegan Nox and Natalya. So I would say, depending on how the match goes next week on Raw, that Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark should be in line for a tag team title match. Then we move on to the main event of the evening on Raw. It was for the World Heavyweight Championship between challengers Drew McIntyre and champion Seth freaking Rollins, in which was a really back and forth great match, and that to end day one with. And overall, I thought that the actual day one itself, being a Raw brand exclusive as such show, it was a good show. It didn't just feel like a normal Monday Night Raw. You know, even though you had The Rock coming out, you had the World Heavyweight Championship match, the Women's Championship match. You had everything that you could really ask for, even if it was just a premium live event match, show. You had really good matches, really good fights, good entertainment. That's what you want on a show, and you can't ask for more than that. But with that being said, the match, great match, back and forth, and then, as I say, got towards the end of the match. Then Damian Priest music hit. He comes down the ring with Rhea Ripley, but then Dirty Dom also comes through the crowd, and basically Rhea Ripley comes up to the apron, and Priest sort of like hits Seth Rollins with the briefcase, and Drew McIntyre hits Dirty Dom with a Claymore, then hits JD with hits Damian Priest with a Claymore, hits Dirty Dom with the belly, goes into the ring, and hits Seth Rollins with a Claymore. 1, 2, foot on the rope, because the way that Drew McIntyre threw Seth Rollins back, one of his feet were actually on the rope, and the referee caught that the last second. So Drew brought out Seth Rollins to the table, went to go to give him a running power slam. Seth Rollins battled out of it, hit him with a pedigree on the table, brought him back into the ring, and set him up for the curb stomp, and the 1, 2, 3, and Seth Rollins is still your World Heavyweight Champion. And folks, that does conclude this shortened down, condensed, if you will, version of the Raw Gold podcast. So this will go out on Thursday, along with the podcast. So the podcast goes out at 6 o'clock on Thursday on Amazon and Spotify, and this shortened version of the video will also go out on YouTube, and it will be shared as well, just after 6 o'clock on Thursday evening. So folks, again, I just want to also add, just before I finish off as well, so all my social medias, Rob Gould, Facebook, so ROBGOULD, Twitter /X, Rob Gould, same spelling, TikTok, Robert the Great with 2, so ROBERTHEGR88, and then I've got Gmail, which is the email address is golden1 GOULDENONEROBGOULD at gmail.com. For those who want to get in contact with me, or even with it being YouTube, you can leave comments under the video section as well. If there's something that you want to ask or something that you want to leave comment wise and that, like I say, be nice with them. Any questions that you want to ask away, as I will get the notifications come through for them and I can respond to them, or I can respond to them on a podcast. And if there's anyone out there who, you know, as I say, is a fan of the podcast, is a fan of myself, wants to even come on and even have a wee quick chat about wrestling and things like that, do not hesitate to contact me, and we can even get something sorted for a podcast episode as well. So folks, it has been great to bring in the year for what has been a somewhat challenging year personally for myself in 2023, with some trials and tribulations and things like that going on in my personal life, but that doesn't stop me doing things that I like to do myself, and that because I know the people up there, and that will not want me doing something that I don't want to do. They'd be wanting me to push myself to do what I want to do. If I love doing what I do, like this, even if it's just for myself and things like that, and the podcast and just for myself, so be it. If it gives me happiness, if it gives me joy in doing something, I just do it. I just do everything for me is for me and it's for fun. Do you know what I mean? What I do here, this is for fun. Basically, going doing you know TikToks for fun, going doing Facebook lives for fun, TikTok lives for fun, TikToks videos for fun. I do them for fun. I do them for anybody else? Not really. I just do them for myself, and if people see it and like it and respond to it, then it's all in good faith, it's all good fun. Then do you know what I mean? That's what it is. But folks, again, I want to thank those who do tune in, who do watch, and like I say, if you do have any questions or any comments, please do leave them at the bottom of the video. And that, as I say, all the social medias and stuff usually do get attached on the likes of Amazon and Spotify as well. I think there should be on here as well. If not, I will put them on here too, on the description type thing. And folks, welcome to 2024. But what you have to understand is, if you don't already do this, and you need to, is to acknowledge me. I am Rob Gould, host of the Golden One, host of the Golden Nugget, and I am the Golden One. I am Rob Gould, and I will see you all in 2024. Acknowledge me.